How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store's holiday sale is still running, and I want to go over some last-minute deals that I haven't covered in any of the other videos. We're taking any price restrictions off of this video, so just bear that in mind. And I do have to say, a lot of Japanese games are going to be on this list. I know sometimes you guys get annoyed that I constantly mention a lot of Japanese titles. Well, this list is filled with Japanese games, so bear that in mind. With that being said, let's get right into it. Quite a few deals to go over. Let's start things off with a big PlayStation 5 launch exclusive. That is, of course, Demon's Souls. This is 43% off for $39.89, which is a new low on the game as far as a digital price is concerned. Demon's Souls is a game that I really enjoyed. I dug Demon's Souls back in 2009, but if you go back and play Demon's Souls from 2009, you'll see some very aged elements to the game, and Demon's Souls on the PlayStation 5 definitely brings the game up to speed. Blue Point, you know they're going to do a good job on a remake. This one falls in line as well. I am not the biggest fan of Demon's Souls when comparing it to some of the other Souls titles, and some of the other From Software games in general, I should say, but it's still very, very good. You know their track record. They have excellent game after excellent game, and Demon's Souls is an excellent game. And at this price point, I think it's a pretty good pickup at $39.89. You know, sometimes with these PS5 exclusives, it is going to take a little bit longer for them to see lower prices just because you're talking about games with that $70 MSRP now. So that's going to be a little bit of a bummer for the rest of this generation. But thankfully, Demon's Souls at this point is sub $40, so that's at least nice. Alright, next up, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition is 25% off for $29.99. Another deal I would like to see a little bit cheaper. We've seen DMC5 Special Edition physically as low as $17, but digitally it just hasn't been seeing that steep of a discount. Devil May Cry 5, however, is a tremendous game, so if you are the kind of person that only buys games digitally, still very much a worthwhile pickup at $29.99. Excellent music to this game. Love the theme song. It's actually a song I have on my phone. Awesome soundtrack in general, great gameplay, decent story as well. Visually, it looks great, runs very, very well on the PlayStation 5 as well. You got the special edition content here. It's $10 off from its MSRP price. So $29.99, not, again, a slam dunk deal, but still a fairly decent one that I thought was worthwhile to mention. Next up, Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, 50% off for $24.99. Final Fantasy XII was, back in 2006, kind of a black sheep in the Final Fantasy franchise. Maybe it was because of the shift in gameplay style. Maybe it was because it has one of the worst main characters in a JRPG ever. However, the positives greatly outweigh the negatives in Final Fantasy XII, and the Zodiac Age upgrade is pretty decent. And you might look at $24.99, hey, $25 for a game that initially came out in 2006 on the PS2, is that really worth it? I would say it's worth it because you get an absurd amount of content in the game if you're looking to do everything. And then, again, while I don't think Vaughn is a great main character, when you look at the rest of the cast of Final Fantasy XII, very, very compelling characters outside of Vaughn. But for $25, pretty solid deal. I should note it is included with PlayStation Now, so if you would prefer to play it that way, that is an option as well. Next up, we have Crysis, the Remastered Trilogy. It's $35 after an additional 5% discount with a PlayStation Plus membership. Pretty sure most of you guys are Plus subscribers, but nevertheless, Crysis Remastered Trilogy is somewhat of a mixed bag. Crysis 1, in my opinion, was such an incredible game back in 2007. The remaster I would have liked to see a little bit more out of, but Crysis 2 and Crysis 3, Crysis 2 especially, is a game that I still really like. Some people go back and forth on which Crysis they like the best. I'm a Crysis 2 guy. I thought Crysis 2 was excellent. Yes, it's more linear than Crysis 1, far more linear, but it's still a very, very good game, and if you want some quality first-person shooters from a single-player standpoint, I think this is a pretty decent pickup. And visually, you know, they all hold up relatively well. It's like Crysis 1 was just so ahead of its time in 2007 that you don't get that blow-away appeal here, but for 3 first-person shooters, $35, it is a little bit on the pricey side. Like, if this was $30, I think that would be a really good price. You know, $10 a pop for each game is very palatable. $35 is pushing it a little bit, but again, if you're looking for quality FPSs, I think you'll enjoy that quite a bit. Next up, we have SCARLET Nexus, 45% off for $33. Loved me SCARLET Nexus, man. Really hope we eventually see a sequel to this game, just get that out of the way, but Very, very enjoyable game with a lot of content. You do have to play through the game twice. Well, you don't have to, but I would recommend you to play through it twice. You have 2 playable main characters in Yuito and Kasane, and they're both very different from a gameplay standpoint. Story is compelling, and again, with the double playthrough, you do get to see different viewpoints and different story pieces, story beats, so it's definitely worthwhile to go through it twice, and that'll take you probably 45 to 50 hours, and then there's additional stuff you can do and everything like that. $33 for a quality JRPG here. Really like the soundtrack to this game as well. Kind of an underrated element to Scarlet Nexus. The gameplay's very good. The only downside is some repetitive areas and dungeons and enemy types. But still, very, very good game here for $33. Next up, we have Yakuza Like a Dragon, 50% off for $29.99. Yes, very much different than your mainline Yakuza titles, at least pre-Yakuza Like a Dragon, but it's actually a nice shift for Yakuza as a franchise, and the game is filled with content, and it still features that quirkiness that you know and love out of Yakuza. And even if you want to get into Yakuza for the first time, most people would probably recommend Yakuza 0, but if you're looking for an RPG, Yakuza Like a Dragon's a pretty good pickup as well, a turn-based RPG. Here, again, a pretty quirky game, and Yakuza in itself, there's mature elements to it, and then there's also a bit of quirkiness to it. It's a healthy balance of both, and Yakuza Like a Dragon really does maintain that. PS5 version is fairly decent as well. Not a bad pickup at $30, and if you're familiar with the Yakuza games, you know that you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck, and Yakuza Like a Dragon is no different in that sense either. Next up, we have Disco Elysium, the final cut, 35% off for $26. This is a game that I'm going to be championing for quite a while, because it seems like people with a PlayStation do not know much about this game, and it kind of goes under the radar. This is very much a narrative-driven game that is driven on a lot of choice. You play as a detective, and the game is a very, very mature-oriented game. And it's a game with tremendous, tremendous writing. Like, we can talk about good stories in a lot of games, but Disco Elysium, in my opinion, does, you know, represent the absolute elite in writing and storytelling. I just thought the game was tremendous. The final cut also does improve the game. $26 is just a fantastic pickup. This is on PS4 and PS5, by the way. Just a great buy. Yes, it might seem a bit pricey, but just an incredibly high-quality game. Like, when this game came out on PC way back when, that's when I initially played it, the original release, it was getting, like, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, but it seemed to, you know, get a lot of traction with its original release and then kind of taper off, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it on PlayStation, so definitely worthwhile. And again, $26, a very good pickup here. Next up, Persona 5 Royal. This is 60% off for $24. It's Persona 5. It's considered by many to be one of, if not the best JRPG of all time. People will go as far as saying it's the best JRPG of all time. Probably wouldn't go that far, but I can agree that it's at the absolute elite tier of Japanese RPGs. Tremendous storytelling, a variety of content, and yes, while this game can span north of 150 hours, you're talking about doing content that's varied, and always the game always feels relatively fresh and engaging. Turn-based combat system is great, music is obviously tremendous, and the game has a visual style that is going to age tremendously, tremendously well. And Persona 5 Royal came out, what, early 2020, I think? So not that old of a game, and of course, this edition does extend the experience quite a bit. If you played the original game, you know, $24 is a good time to pick up the game and experience that new content as well. And if you never played P5, yeah, jump in. Yes, it does have some of that JRPG quirkiness that is, you know, represented in a lot of games, but I would even say that the game is at such a high level that even if you're not the biggest JRPG guy, maybe you're put off by some of them, Persona 5 Royal is still one that I would highly recommend you to try out. Lastly, 2 games, I guess I'll group these 2 together since they're both Vanillaware titles. Odin Sphere Leifthrasir is 75% off for $14.99. I believe this is a basement price for the game. Like, I haven't seen this under $15. Game came out back in 2006, I want to say, on the PlayStation 2. Ended up being a greatest hits title. It came out in 2007, excuse me. Ended up being a greatest hits title, and you know, it didn't have a ton of buzz, and then this version came out, and it seems like, you know, Vanillaware started to gain some traction, so more people check this one out. It's a great 2D action RPG with a great art style, solid story as well. If you've played any of the other Vanillaware titles and you want to circle back and play Odin Sphere, maybe you play Dragon's Crown or something like that, this is for $15 is pretty good. And again, it's a game that has held up in price for quite a while. Like, I want to say Leifthrasir was like a 10th anniversary release of Odin Sphere, so yeah, it's that old, but it's still holding up in price, so $15 is a great pickup. And then obviously, Vanillaware's latest title that does go a different direction, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, while retaining that excellent art style, a narrative focus, a focus on the cast and characters, and there's a lot of characters in this game, but it all works pretty well. Writing is fairly good. I know some people weren't hot on the gameplay, but I think overall it's still a very, very engaging game. I think the story is great, and then obviously the art style in these games is just fantastic. And another game, I guess the Vanillaware games in general, although Dragon's Crown rocketed down in price, you can get that for like $5, but 13 Sentinels has also been holding up in price. This is more of a recent release. I want to say it came out back in the end of 2020. So pretty good pickup here as well at $24. But that's going to do it for me. Again, the holiday sale is wrapping up this week. But, like, let's be honest, it's actually wrapping up next week. It's the end of this week. It's wrapping up probably next Wednesday, I want to say, if my timing is correct. We're going to see more PlayStation Store sales. You guys know how it works, and we're probably going to be seeing more of them. It's just we're going to see smaller sales. This holiday sale was a very, very big sale. I think what we're going to get into over the next week and a half is going back to your games under $15 sale, your essential sale, your double discount sale, things like that. But that's gonna do it for me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.